Mitch says we're on. Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. Welcome back to our show. And today we're going to work on the Aermacchi Big Bore. Mitch behind the cameras. I don't think I mentioned that. And I've got some parts here I want to show you. I finally got some things. I got a connecting rod. Okay, this has been modified, so I'm going to show you what it looked like previous to this. This is a Yamaha rod, and these are Aermacchi rods. This is a Carrillo rod. I had a little incident at the Portland racetrack. My bike was going slower and slower, and I just wanted to finish the race. And I should have listened to my engine because it was telling me things for a long time. And finally, I came onto the back straight, and the motor went silent all of a sudden. It went from being loud to being very quiet, and it did a lot of damage. What happened was the crank pin broke, and it was only held on one side, and I just kept on. I wanted to finish the race. That was the ego in me coming out. And I did not finish the race, and that was like $5,000 worth of damage, so that was a lot. So this is a stock rod, Aermacchi. It's 135 millimeters. Actually, stock is 145, but this is 135. And this is an Aermacchi racing rod. Can you see the difference? And the Carrillo rod is kind of the same as well as this one. It's very nicely made. And these ones weigh about 340 grams. So I got the Yamaha rod, and I make notes on all these things, and it weighed 350 grams stock. And that's interesting because when I made a big bore motor back in 2002, I weighed that rod. That was a Yamaha rod, and it weighed 386 grams, so it's definitely lighter. It was heavier back then. So the one I ordered, it was lighter, and I got the weight down to 313 grams. Maybe I took a little excess off the top, I don't know, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to show you some photos of what I did to the rod. This is the piston I got. I got it out of Germany. It's a Ducati piston. It's a 79 millimeter. I talked to my friend Nicola, and because he's the local Ducati expert, and he says, no, Ducati never made a 79. It's an 80 millimeter piston. So I got in touch by email with Rudolph in Germany, and he says, no, this is out of a Ducati parallel twin, 79 to 83. That was the model year. And the stock bore is 78, so when you get a 1 millimeter over piston, it's 79. So that's what I used on the previous engine, so that's what I got now. That's going to work fine. Got valve springs out of Germany. It's a Schrick brand, Schrick, Schrick. They're very nice. And what I had to do was to make up a bushing. And that goes in here. We're going to press that in. We're going to drill the holes. And then I'm going to hone it to fit the wrist pin. This wrist pin is kind of chunky. I want one of the ones that has the taper on the inside, because this is definitely got a bit of weight. It doesn't have to be that heavy. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of a slideshow now on what happened with the rod and the bushing. That's what the rod looked like when I got it, and you can see it looks a lot different now. It's been polished. And then this is in the mill. I clamped it down onto the table, and I milled each side to make it the same width as these rods. And then I put it up in the rotary table, and I milled around using a ball end mill. That's why that is like that. It's neck down. And then I'm in the vise. I got a file, and I filed off all the casting marks, and I smoothed it all out. Then I needed a bushing, and I didn't have anything that was really suitable. So I went to my two local metal mart. I went to Metal Mart and Metal Supermarket, and things have really changed because they had basically nothing. They have a very small selection and nothing that would work for me. I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, when you went into a metal shop, they had a whole selection of bronze. And it's not like it was super cheap, but it was reasonable. Now, it's very expensive. So if I wanted to order like 6 inches, and it would be a special order, I'd have to pay for the shipping extra. It could be like 80 bucks, and all I needed was a piece. It's not even an inch long. So I went through my stock, and I found this piece, and it was 2 1/4 inches OD and a little bit wider. So I thought, okay, I don't have to go to the Metal Mart and pay shipping and all that extra stuff for a special order. So I put it in my lathe and I machined it down, and it's going to go into here. It's a half thou press fit, if you were wondering. So why don't we go to the arbor press, press it in, going to drill the holes, and then we'll go over to the pinhole grinder, a sun and honing machine, and we're going to hone it out so it fits this. Usually, if you can slide it through with your thumb, that's a clearance of 3/10 of a thou. When I left high school, that was my job for a while in this machine shop, honing out rods. I'd do rods off a Continental aircraft, things like that. They were a 6-cylinder, and so I'd do 6 rods at a time. I'd press out the old bushing, press in the new one, and there was quite a bit to hone. So I was thinking about that recently, and I was thinking if I was smart back then, I would have held the bushing in the chuck and taken a little cut, and then it would have been a lot less honing. So funny how you think about these things like 50 years later. Okay, thanks for joining us. Going to go to the arbor press. All right, let's see what... Oh, that's going in. Not super tight, but there's a press fit there. Maybe I should have had just a little bit more press fit, but it's not going to go anywhere. All right, we're going to go off to the drill press. Got to drill 2 oil holes, and then we're on the pinhole grinder. All right, we're going to hone this out now. This is the oil, honing oil, and this is the rest. What's nice about the hone is that it makes a perfectly round hole. It can't do oval, it doesn't know how to do that. And I left some metal in here, maybe a thou, but then when you press in the bushing, it shrinks it. So there's a little more to come out. So this is how you increase the size of the stone here as it's held in. Have to be careful because I don't want to take out too much. See that? It's almost fitting, but not quite. And I put it under because it takes out the grit. And I put it under the oil. A little bit more. See that? And it's a little snug. So just a little bit more. Okay, see that? I'll go for that. I wear gloves because don't like oily hands. I'm on the milling machine here. I've got a right angle plate here that's bolted onto the mill table. I set this up. I got this horizontal. This is the face. So this is the stock liner. And this is the oversized liner for the larger piston. And can you see how it's bigger? So what I need to do is to open up the bore here. So I've got the boring head set up. I've got a little bit of a counterweight here. And I've set my depth because there's a shoulder inside there. And I'm going to take some cuts, and we need a few thou clearance. It is going to get a gasket. I don't have a gasket in that right now, so the gasket is a few thou. It's not a thick gasket at all. So we're going to switch on the phase converter, get the mill working. I'll take a small cut. I've got my digital caliper, and that's what I'll use to measure. I got the digital readout set up. I got the speed set at 1,000, so we'll see what happens. This is just a little tiny cut. There we go. Okay, so if you look inside, you can see how it's not hitting right here, but it's hitting most spots there. What I'll do is I'll measure this. It's 3.303, 3.304. So if I end up with, say, 3.306, let's say 3.306. So when I close it, it's 3.307. So let's just see what we got here. I'll lock it. So I've got about 150 thou to take out. So I'm going to take 3 cuts of 50 thou. Okay, we're going to take another 50 thou. See what happens. So I'm going to take 40 thou now, and then I'm going to take a smaller cut. So 10, 20, 30, 40. That's a good fit. All right, that's our episode for today. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for watching. Mitch and I like coffees. If you buy us coffees, really helps our channel a lot. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. We're still heading for that 100,000 subscribers. And so, take care. See you next time.